Hi, I'm Shine, and this is Divine Shine Tarot with a CelebriTEA reading on Diddy, the disgraced music mogul that we saw dragged through a highly publicized federal RICO case this summer, and he beat the heaviest charges. How much jail time will he get, and what's the energy around his upcoming sentencing? In this clip from my live stream, let's see what the cards have to say. Remember, these readings are for entertainment purposes only. No facts, no truth, just tarot. Timestamps are down below, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button, and leave me suggestions for readings you'd like to see from me in the future. Now, I ask that the spirit step forward to divinely guide my vision and messaging for this CelebriTEA reading. Let's get started. As I mentioned in the introduction at the top of this live stream, Diddy, better known as Puffy or Sean Combs, is due to go to his sentencing next month. We saw that he had a big trial earlier this year at the top of the summer. It was a federal RICO case, or as some call it, the FreakO, that was brought in New York State by the Southern District of New York because they claimed that Diddy, or I'm used to hearing him be called Puffy, so I'm going to jump back and forth between those two names. But the claim was that they had reason to believe that Puffy may have been engaged in human trafficking and racketeering, which is the organized crime network that RICO cases seek to prosecute. But amongst everything they charged him with, the trafficking and RICO charges were the biggest in terms of carrying the heavier potential sentences. And despite all of the reputation of the Southern District of New York federal courts, they were not successful in getting him found guilty. There we go. He was not found guilty. Puffy was not found guilty on the human trafficking and whatever else the other big charges were. They only got him on, I think it was prostitution. And so he's just been awaiting his sentencing, which they pushed it to next month, October. And one of the things that came out during all of the publicity that trial garnered was that Jay-Z's lawyer came out and said that he actually wasn't friends with Diddy or Puffy. He was just business associates. And of course, there was a lot of doubt and criticism about that because there had been an impression based off of a lot of, I guess, pictures and videos that people had seen over the years that seemed to communicate a closeness between Jay-Z and Puffy. And people say, or the internet streets say, that that is just an extension of Jay-Z trying to protect himself from liability, any legal issues on top of his existing ones that were that were brewing this year, that were presenting themselves. And that's why it was a natural segue after we just did that Jay-Z reading to pivot into a question that a follower asked about Diddy, to find out if the cards have anything to say about his upcoming sentencing, asking how much time will he do, or what else will come out of the final outcome of his trial, which they already had a verdict, but I believe he still has a lot of other legal troubles that his legal team is probably navigating. We'll probably start hearing about it next month when he goes for his sentencing, which, by the way, I did do a reading on the Diddy trial at the beginning of the summer for those of you that want to check out that full Diddy reading. I'll link it on the screen here, since this one will just be a brief energy check. Okay, someone asked, how much time will Puffy do? How much time will Diddy do? Which we'll find out next month when he's sentenced. And of course, he's been incarcerated this whole time, which will count towards whatever they do give him. It will count as time served. From what I last heard, he was being held in a institution in Brooklyn. And he made an attempt to get early release at the time that the verdict came down for his trial, but his legal team was not successful in getting that. So let's see what the cards have to say. I do remember at the beginning of the Diddy reading that I did, the first card that came out was the Two of Pentacles. And in the end, he got charged with 2 of the, I think there were like 8 different charges that the federal prosecutors were pursuing on Diddy. So let's see if the cards could tell us how much time will Puffy do, how much more time, or anything that the cards could tell us about what the future may hold around Diddy. Will any of the people that we thought were connected to him, such as Jay-Z, such as even J-Lo, there were whispers about Justin Bieber and USHER, will any of those people be affected by what comes out of this Puffy trial and sentencing? Yikes. So here we have one of the most popular cards of the night, which is the 10 of Swords. Interesting. Does not feel like 10 years. And 10 months sounds like it's too short of a time to serve for what they were able to get him charged on. But let's see what else the cards can reveal. Here we have the Sun card. I wonder if this is trying to communicate that he may get out sooner than most anticipate. There were a lot of letters written by past victims or accusers of Puffy that were very concerned about early release, and those letters helped contribute to the judge's decision to not release him early, for him to still be held while he awaits his sentencing date. So because all of this is going to count towards whatever time they give him as time served, his time before release may actually be shorter than what victims or opponents, any Diddy, Puffy haters or opponents may be expecting or hoping for. But for those that support him, because apparently there were a lot of Diddy supporters outside of the court as well, this would be good news for them and for him as well. Ooh, 8 of Cups. Walking away from something that no longer fulfills you emotionally. So will he get, is this like 8 months, 8 years? Interesting. I'm still not getting a sense of timing. But again, I also asked general messages for the aftermath after he's sentenced. What will come of some of the, well, many of the connections that we had heard of in the lead up to the trial? Someone will be walking away from something that no longer serves them. So maybe the prosecutors or whoever was really motivated to pursue this case against Puffy may decide to just leave it as it is. Let's not even pursue more, because I heard that they were even considering, is it an appeal or something? They were considering maybe revisiting this if there's any other legal course of action to try to pursue more charges, but the federal prosecutors may decide, let's just leave it as it is. Whatever time he's served, whatever they give him, let's not put ourselves in the position to look worse, because there was also a lot of egg on their face since they pursued these big RICO charges and didn't really provide sufficient evidence for the jury to convict him on what many of the headlines and videos and speculation around all of this darkness behind Puffy and the trial and the victims and his freak-off activities that came to light. It wasn't enough to convict him on the bigger charges of trafficking, RICO charges, and I forget what else was listed. It was about 8 big charges that would have caused him to face substantial time. Like, I believe some of those go up to 20 years, which is why they were pursuing it the way they did, as aggressively as they did. We saw that they ran down on Puffy early last year. When I say ran down on, they raided his properties in such a way that was so visible and sensationalized. We've come to realize that there's been a lot of sensationalization around all of the lore behind Puffy and those who have history with him. Sorry, I'm in a noisy place. So yeah, a lot of the lore that came out of all of the speculation was heavily sensationalized, heavily amplified to make things look so dark and so devious. And who knows, they may be spiritually, but in the court of law, there was not enough evidence to convict him based off what they presented beyond some definitely abuse, like domestic abuse with some of the girlfriends / they started to call them sex workers. And let's just continue this. I kind of lost my track of thought here. The 9 of Pentacles. So this is someone that is enjoying their luxuries and they're self-sufficient, they're independent, they're confident. So there are 2 cards here that indicate that Diddy may get out sooner than most would like to see, and he will be able to enjoy his luxurious lifestyle again. All right, let's continue. So far, it looks like he's going to get out soon. He's going to get back to his flashy, luxurious, rock starish lifestyle, which is not good news for the people that were victims of his or felt like they were victims of his, the people that were accused or they were called to testify in his recent trial. So here we have the Queen of Wands and the Queen of Pentacles. Interesting. I also looked at the bottom of the decks. We have the 2 of Wands. We have the Knight of Swords. Let me just pull out all these cards so I can conclude this reading a little faster. Okay, so the Queen of Wands in reverse. Let me show you guys the beautiful card. Queen of Wands in reverse. She is insecure, aggressive, jealous, very demanding. So this energy does not have to be exclusively feminine. This doesn't have to be a woman. It could be, but this could also be a man. There is someone that has strong feelings against this possible early release of Diddy, Puffy, and is probably really angry about that. This could possibly even be one of the alleged victims that testified, like Cassie. Ooh, is she an Aries? Is Cassie Ventura an Aries? Because I believe this might be an Aries card. The Queen of Wands. Let me double check my notes here. Queen of Wands. Is she an Aries? I believe she is. Yeah. Aries, Pisces. Interesting. So I wonder if that is the energy of one of the possible victims involved in his freak-off world, or someone else that really wanted to see him taken down or held accountable. For example, this could be Cassie's energy, kind of frustrated and angry about the outcome after she was so vulnerable and subjected herself to a lot of scrutiny by sharing the details of her history in that relationship with Puff. Then the Queen of Pentacles, this is a female energy that's very nurturing, generous, has good work-life balance. But in the context of this reading, it could be someone awarding money. I'm trying to get the energy from this card. Who's getting money, Spirit? Maybe handing off money to any other potential accusers to dissuade them from advancing any other legal efforts. With this Queen of Pentacles that came out, seems like an exchange of financial encouragement. I'll say it that way. Someone may be silenced with a financial offering, while others may be upset, angry, frustrated, jealous that they did not get the same rewards or financial incentives or advantages in the aftermath of the Diddy Puffy trial and case. Then we have the Two of Wands in reverse, which indicates a lack of planning, missed opportunities due to hesitation from self-doubt or a lack of preparation, maybe a plan that failed or planning for an outcome that's out of one's control. Maybe procrastination, maybe a lack of focus and dedication to a plan. So if this Queen of Pentacles that I interpreted as a payment made to someone that may be encouraging them to keep their their stories and their additional legal pursuits to themselves, maybe it'll be revealed that there was a payment because this plan is not moving forward according to plan. And this Knight of Swords that we got indicates a very active and ambitious energy of someone advancing their communications, advancing with their goals, taking action on something they are very driven and assertive to try to accomplish some goal in the aftermath of that court case. So we didn't get clarity on exactly how much time Diddy will be sentenced to, but it does seem that whatever the judge sentences him to next month will allow him to come out early, enjoy his lifestyle. The people that brought this case may be discouraged, frustrated, angry, step away from it. Some of them may even be financially motivated to do that. The plans fell through for either the people pursuing the legal action against Diddy or something that his legal team may have planned is not going according to plan. It's not going as they wished it would. There's still some actions being advanced here. So I will do a follow-up reading on this when they have already sentenced him and get more of a deep dive on that situation, since that was a reading that everyone was heavily requesting and interested in. This was just meant to be a mini reading for one of the followers that asked, and I finally have a moment to see what the cards say at a time when we were speaking of some relevant industry cohorts of Diddy, Puff Daddy. I wish you all abundance and illumination. May divine light radiate through your life. Keep shining.